here we go on what's going to be my first 2-page layout process video. I don't know how this is going to turn out, but all we can do is, try, right? So this is the kit that I had pulled together from my purge papers. I actually have 14 photos printed, and this might be a trigger video. If you've recently lost a pet, this may not be for you. But Truman had bone cancer, and we knew there would be a day when we would get to love him enough to take him to the bridge. And before I did that, I wanted to give him his best day. So these photographs capture our doing all of those favorite things. And when I saw this paper, it's a little more somber, and I thought this might be a good way to use the paper and simultaneously document a hard event. And I love this sentiment up here. So I selected a page maps from April 2019, and I shared in a couple of videos back how to do the math on these page maps, because they do tell you that from here to here is 4 inches. And so when you measure that with a real ruler, you get a multiplier that when you take the 4 inches into what is the real measurement, you get a multiplier for all of these other measurements to convert them to a true 12-inch parameter. So here, my multiplier on this sketch is 4 inches equaled 1.75 in real life. So 4 divided by 1.75 is a multiplier of 2.2857. And then I just extrapolate that to get my stripe measurement, my gray measurement on this side, my gray measurement on this side, my polka dot, and this little overlay, and then this piece here. So there's a little decorative element there, an edge, and I'm going to use a stripe. This is not going to be a whimsical layout. This is going to be a, oh my goodness, I hope I can get this done layout. But the boy deserves the layout. So I've got my papers pulled, and what I plan to do over here, I do not like this, the tint of this wood grain, but what I plan to do is get an X-Acto knife and come along here and cut this out and cut this out and cut this out. And then I'm going to tuck this yellow underneath here to be the base for my left page. And then this yellow piece here, you're not going to see this. This yellow piece here will be my right page. On my stripes, I'm going to use the stripe like I feel like stripes were intended, but these paw prints are going sideways. So on the part of the paper that I don't use, I'm going to trim some paw prints and change the orientation and hopefully redeem this little area so that it makes sense, because I don't know. I don't like the idea. I mean, to me, paw prints are going, up. And then this dot here is going to be this piece. And as I stated earlier, this is not a full 12 inches wide. Doesn't need to be. And it's going to work perfect because I'm not putting it behind here. So I'm going to have a little bit here and a little bit here. And then this smaller red dot is going to be my overlay. So that's kind of where we're headed. When it comes to sketches, I'm really good at dissecting a sketch and seeing the paper structure and then working the photos to match what I need. So I need 14 photos, and I went to my Scrapbook Generation paid content, and I found a sketch that had 14 photos. I can't show you that, but I can tell you that I'm going to have a row of 3 photos, a row of 3 photos, a row of 3 photos over here. On my left page, I'm going to have a row of 3 photos and then 2 feature photos. And so The feature photos are 4x3, and then my rows of photos are, these are 2.88 by 2.88, and I printed them just less than 3 inches so that I could get a little white background on there, because they're going to go against this red, and I want them to pop up from it some. And over here, these will probably also have a little map behind them. And I've got my journaling typed up. I'm not certain if I'll do a text box down here or if it'll be hidden journaling. When I was pulling these photos, it was easy to have some good memories of him and recall all of his little personality quirks. And so I went ahead and wrote that in the moment so that I could kind of get all my feelings out in one session. And on my title, I'm not sure if it's going to be Truman's Rainbow Day or if it's just going to be My Boy Truman. But those are the kinds of details that I work out as the page comes along. I feel like the page kind of helps you make some of those decisions as you go along. And so my title will go over here. This is just really like a subtitle. I'm not going to let that carry the weight. So what I need to do next, I want to say a little bit about the yellow. He loves scrambled eggs, and so when I saw the scrambled eggs yellow, I thought, well, that'll really tie in that yellow. And you know, this is all this paper that I have. I don't have the whole collection. I said early on I didn't even remember Bo Bunny doing collection. So I don't have a ton of embellishments pulled, and I'm going to go probably with hearts with paw prints in them and keep it light on that. This will be paper heavy, photo heavy, story heavy. It's like I said, it's not going to be whimsical, but sometimes I think it's worth telling the hard stories. I mean, only you can decide what stories are hard for you, and only you can decide if you want to tell them. But he was our family dog, and we took him up to Tennessee to say bye to Philip, and so this is a layout that I think everyone in my family would appreciate. So I'm going to do it. And so the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my papers, and I've got this cardstock here pulled. This is that old kit cardstock that I don't necessarily care for, but it's going to be completely covered, and I think it'll need a little background weight because I'm going to piece this together, and then I'm going to do this cut over here, and I just like some solidity to the background. Let me go get started on cutting some papers. I wanted to show you this before I go much farther. So I took an X-Acto knife and came along the edge, trying to get inside the frame so that if there was black here, it's going to be covered up, but I didn't want wood grain showing. And so now I thought about cutting this off, but why make it difficult? I can just come in here like this and tape it down, and then that wood grain is gone. I picked some of the yellow that had this distressed because I liked the, I don't know, feeling it evokes maybe. And so I'm going to bump this up to hide this. I mean, I don't think that adds a whole lot. I could trim it down, and so what I'm going to do is I'll trim my frame a little bit more, and then this will be the left side, because I will run that under. This will be the left side of my layout. So this part is done. This is flapping up. This is, back here with nothing to adhere to, which is why I'm going to use the cardstock. And then I think what I'm going to do is run some foam tape along here so you get a little bit of a lift and a little bit of a shadow. And I noticed when I trimmed the branding strips off that none of these papers are a true 12 by 12. So at the end of this, everything's going to need a haircut to line up. And I'm not going to mess with it until the very end. I'm just taping things down as I cut them because I'm kind of Frankensteining this all together because I don't have enough paper to go, you know, a full width. And I did not cut my red yet because I want my red to come out from behind my photos. And my photos are, well, they show it here popping up above. I don't know. I guess I should get my photos trimmed next and line it out. Then over here, what I've got is that yellow with the Polaroids. And I should be okay. But I'll measure twice, cut once, and I have some of this off-white that I cut off of that, and I thought about repeating it some over on this side. So I'm progressing along, and I did pop this up a little bit here so that dot could tuck behind it, and I have this secured now. I'll probably put one more little bit of foam tape there, but I might wait because I might tuck a heart or a paw print under that. So, but this is all secure. So let me pause and cut my photos. I've got all of the pictures trimmed, and the Allison Davis sketch that I used for the photo placement, she had her grid of 9 photos over here, but I can't do that because he's looking to the left in so many of the pictures. So what I'm going to try and do is lay these out and focus on kind of which direction he's facing so that it all makes sense. Have you ever done a layout with 14 pictures? It would be helpful for some, you know, big events. Let's see. I'll put that one there because the eggs were early. Now he's looking off the page, but I'm looking on. So I think this would be okay to go here. And I'll put that up there. Kind of trying to give a little variety to the placement. Let's see. This is more car time. So I've got my people photos spread out, and I might use, well, I probably don't have a 3 1/8 inch die. So I'm gonna have to manually cut the little white mats because I just want a little bit of white showing behind. And so because I added this column here, I had to scoot these over. Here's that sketch. And more than likely, I'm going to skip this overlay because I've got photos where that goes. And what I need to do next is cut this. And I can go, the sketch calls for 8 3/8 by 11 1/8. But I have 2 full sheets of 12 by 12. And I picked a paper that I did have that so I could be sure and get the border that I need for this double page spread. And over here, I'm gonna have to mind coming up onto this frame. I could always cut it here and tuck it under, but I'm not sure. I don't know. I probably will do that. I probably will come in here so I can tuck this under because I want as much red behind these as I can get. And I'm not cutting this piece of paper yet because I want to see if I want some of this white over here or this stripe. So I feel like what I need to do next is map my photos so I get my total height and width to determine what I'm going to do with my red polka dot. And I don't want to decide over here until I get my little red polka dot down. But I think it's going to be a nice little tribute page. So if I do title here, I can't really do journaling. So I'm leaning toward up here on the red dot, leaving it untaped, and I can tuck some journaling down under that with maybe a tab or some string to pull out, because, you know, the words are going to be sad. I have all my photos arranged how I want them, and down here on the bottom I want 2 rows of these dots to show, because otherwise I don't think you really get the pattern. I've got my little photo mats cut, and so starting here and coming up, the sketch calls for the overlay piece to go about 2/3 of the way up. So I decided for 8 1/4, bearing in mind what I have going over here. And just a trick, in case you may already do this, but my trimmer will cut 2 pieces of paper at one time. And so I just cut both of these at the same time, and then I don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to match when they meet at the seam. Now, I realize that there's going to be a gutter. Your spine is going to be between them. So the sketch then calls for this to come over about to the edge, and I'm okay with that. So I'm just going to take off that much, and I'm going to cut them at the same time again, and then I'm going to have my day of reckoning with this corner up here. If I slip that red under there, you can see I am going to have to come and carve out some more. Some of this can slip under the first cut I made, but I'm going to have to get the X-Acto knife out again. And I still am wondering back here because now with all of that red down, I'm wondering if this yellow is going to be too much of a pop. The flip side is there's this ledger piece, but I'm not feeling that. So it's probably going to have to be this side of the yellow, simply because I don't have a lot else. Oh, and I have a little stripe that I need to work in here. One thing I thought about was putting a thicker stripe over here, but I'm probably not going to do that. I won't be able to do any titling or journaling up here, I don't think, because it would compete with that. So pretty much I'm going to be putting my title here, and I may do a side. I can't really do the hidden journaling behind this because of the pictures. So I may end up doing a side pull out. So when you're working through your layout, that's what I'm saying. Some of your choices are dictated to you. On the pictures, this is the car ride, the long car ride, and I put all that in one row, and I tried to break up his poses. So this way he's looking more at me. This is when we went to see the cows. I've got a person here and a person here, and I've got me up here. I had this here, but then like he was looking at himself, and so that seemed kind of funny. And I put this up here. So I'm pleased with the arrangement of the photos. And what my trick is, I'm going to get the mats down straight, and then I'm going to tape my photos onto the mats. I find it's easier to get a well-matted photo if my mat is stationary, and the only way it can really be that is if you have it taped down. So that's why these are sitting here and they're not behind. And let me also say, it is just the tiniest sliver of a white, just barely noticeable. I don't even know if it shows up. But, see, it'll show up. It'll show up on the red. I should have done that all along instead of bringing it up to the camera. Sorry about that. Let me go cut here, and I can get this tape down, and then I need to make a decision here. So I bit the bullet and went ahead and decided on the yellow, and I've got the red down. I've got it tucked up under here. I feel good about that. And what is next on my to-do list is to tape down all of these mats so that I can then tape down my pictures. I'm not going to place them all out because then I'm just going to have to pick them up. Oh, real quick, I want to say, you can see that this paper, it's not all the same length. And so when you're dealing with paper that's not a true 12 inch, if you'll put all of your offcuts down to one end, then you can trim off of one side. I've got all of my 3x3 white squares taped down, and I'm not going to lie, it took more than a minute. And so that's the amount of white that's showing currently. I've been thinking that for all this trouble, I should get a little bit more of a pop. And so I'm probably going to go back and trim 1/8 off of each of these, off of one side, one horizontal and one vertical side. So I'm not going to take off a quarter. I'm just taking off 1/8 in total. And what I used to help in this endeavor was another one of these stamping corner acrylic pieces that I got off Etsy as a card maker. And, oh, this is 1/8. This one is 1/8. So I started here at the bottom, and I just lined it up, and then I just went like this, and then, you know, came down. So I did this side first, and then I got this one. I think it looks pretty uniform. There's honestly a couple of places I could fiddle with, but not all of these squares are an exact 3x3. If I had cut them with a die, if I wanted to spend that time, then they would be perfect. But I mean, I'm not entering this in a contest or anything, and I think it works for what I'm doing. So the next step will be to shave these down a little bit, and I need to decide on these over here. I'm thinking about double matting them in a white, and then maybe bringing in another color. But the question would be, what color? My photos are trimmed down, and I think it was the right call to take them down another 1/8 on top and 1/8 on bottom. And you can see the nice little pop of white. I'm not going to make you watch me tape down every one, but I am just going to show you how easy it is to get these lined up when your mat is stationary. I have just found that to be a really helpful little trick for me. So your mat's not moving, and you can just, I mean, on a margin this size, you pretty much have to eyeball it. But look, I mean, that's perfect, and it took me a second. So maybe that, if you like to mat your photos, maybe that's a little trick that can help you, is get your placement settled down with your mat, and then take your pictures to it, and it should be pretty easy. I'm not going to get the T-square out and make sure these are all level, because a human cut them, and I could be off, you know, 1/32 of an inch, and it would show. So I'm going to be happy enough with it looking like this. And what do you think I should do over here? What color mat? Maybe bring in some of the blue. I don't know. That seems like a really bold choice, but and it would be awfully close to that. But I don't want to bring in black, and I'm opposed to orange. There's already a ton of yellow. It's on red. So it would be, I don't know. I mean, so much yellow going on. I'm, looking at the paper palette. There's, you know what, maybe a khaki would work, because there's this khaki right here, and there's khaki in this down here. So stay tuned. I've got the decision made on the mat over here. And you've got to remember, this is kind of a stash busting challenge. So it's a little sensitive topic maybe for trying to do a challenge, but at the same time, I wanted to use these papers instead of tripping over them. It was kind of like use it or lose it. And so this red is Photoplay, and then the yellows and this element and this dot are Bo Bunny. And so I went to my 6x6 pads. I thought I might have this Happy Tales Bo Bunny in a 6x6, but I don't see it anywhere. And so in the course of that, I grabbed out my pup paper iris case. Oh, maybe I'll grab that and show it before it's over. But I had this little doodlebug paper that is pretty whimsical, but I thought that this little color could work. Now, it's not identical, but I think it works. And so sometimes when you're doing stash busting, you may make some decisions to use something you have that isn't perfect over, not using it. And for me, I think that's going to work. I've been thinking about, where do I want to stitch? I don't think this really is the layout for stitching, but I think I do want to get some brads toward the end, and maybe, or some enamel dot, no, probably brads, and maybe accent some of these circles or dots, whatever you want to call them. I put the aqua on the outside so that it didn't compete with the sky, because the sky is different. And I do like the festive little energy that color gets. So, gives to the layout, because it is like in my heart, it's feeling very somber. Also, I think this is a whole lot of yellow, and I need to try and figure something out maybe for that. It may just have to live as it is. But if I can do anything to tone down some of that yellow, I'm going to do that. And I pulled my dog embellishments, my stickers, and my foam titles, and I'm gonna go shopping now and see if I can find anything that will help. I'm still kind of stuck on a title. When I was picking this color, I was thinking, well, if I do this matte in this color here, then what will my title be? And I knew this was going to be a challenging layout for me because of the topic, but I think if I can just keep going one decision at a time, I'll be okay. So maybe for you, if you've got something that's hard, just take it one decision at a time. And I'm going to be happy that I got this documented, as in, checked off my to-do list. So I'm just going to keep plugging along. Whenever I have pictures that are going to be askew, I do like to kind of eliminate the gap up here. And what that does is it gives you a natural little corner to embellish and connect them. So that's just a little tip. And I obviously taped my mats down first, and it's just kind of been something I started doing not too long ago, and it's been a little bit of a game changer. So I was just fiddling really badly one day with some matting, and I was like, well, you know what? If your base was stationary, you wouldn't necessarily have this trouble. So today is Memorial Day in the U.S., the day that I'm filming this, and it's the day that we remember our fallen soldiers, which my dad served in the Army, but he finished his term, or whatever it's called. And it's also the first day of summer in North Texas. So all the school districts released from Friday or Thursday, depending on where they were. So my challenge in my embellishments is going to be to bring in some of this aqua over here somewhere. So I'm gonna go look for that. You might be relieved to know I made some decisions. So I decided that the title is going to be My Boy Truman. No need to be extensive about it or overly sad. The journaling will tell the story. And this is just a good representation of all of his favorite things. So on the whole, I just felt like the title didn't have to be sad. In the spirit of stash busting, I do not use these very often at all, but I decided I'm struggling so much because of the emotions on this, and I decided to just make it easy on myself and go get some thickers out. And I had talked about a khaki title. I don't have any idea what the name of these are. I don't know, remarks? I don't know. But I thought, you know what? Some black would help ground all the color I've got going on, and it would tie in with different parts of the layout. And so I pulled off of a sticker sheet these little paw prints that I can work in somewhere. And I've got an aqua bone and ball and paw prints on my heart, and I can do a little cluster with that. And then I've got this me and my best friend and one of the family phrase stickers I can put on a couple of others. This is Simple Stories, Who's a Good Boy. It's off of their foam sticker sheet. And the nice thing about having all of your theme supplies together is you can just go and shop them all very easily. But the bad thing is when you pull it off a sticker sheet, knowing where it came from. So I'll try and list that in the video description. And I think for my title, I'm probably going to center up Truman underneath the pictures, and then I'm going to run My Boy here straight across. And the time is coming for me to make my decision on my journaling and how I'm going to do that. I boxed myself in over here because I can't do hidden journaling here. And I taped all this down because I decided I didn't want to do it here. So what I'm leaning toward is making a pocket on the back and having something that would pull out. I thought about doing a big journal box here, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I want it all out there. I'm not sure. But also I do just want to move on and get this done because it's not my usual forte. I have Truman glued down, and you may not be able to see it very well, but I kind of measured my width of my space from here to here, and then I centered it up right here, and then my title is exactly 4 inches wide, so I glued it down. You probably know on thickers to put some glue on them. The nice thing about that is that when you do it, you get a double benefit. You know that it's not going to come off, and then also you know you've got a little give when you lie them down, that you can move them. On the subtitle, My Boy, I considered these mini markets from October Afternoon, but I took one off, and it's just too much yellow against all this white. I mean, he had a beautiful white coat. And then the next thing I looked at were some old, I think these are a My Mind's Eye bundle that maybe we got through Peachy Cheap. I don't know. But then I thought that was too much white. So in the spirit of stash busting, I just kept looking. I thought, I'm not going to complicate things by making an extensive cameo title. And I just kept digging until I could get happy. And I found those LE Studio, which those came in several colors: a navy, a coral, a red, a green. a black on white. And one thing I wondered is, and I mean, certainly you probably don't want to talk about it, but have you ever documented a hard story? I can't say that this has necessarily been cathartic. It's been harder than I thought. I'm glad that I am kind of forcing myself to do this. Do these O's vary? Yeah, it looks like this shorter side is on the top. But I'm very close to done, and that is good. So I feel like this is a good balance between somber and whimsical. That's not straight at all, or not equidistant. But I think it honors the topic and tells a good story. Let's see how horribly off I am. Man, sometimes if it's like this, and I know it's going to go under a page protector and people aren't going to study it, I don't focus on it. So that is, for the most part, straight enough, good enough. And I wanted to say that the other day I was actually going to throw away a silhouette mat, and I was like, wait a minute, give me that acetate off the front. So it's what I use to lay my sticker titles down on, and it also could be a nice protective surface for your photos. I seem to always get some kind of adhesive on my pictures before I can get the layout done. I know this is going to go here, so let's just make a bold move and put it down. I don't want to cover up any part of him, so I'm going to come a little off center with it. And I like that. And I want to get some foam tape on these guys. I use this scrapbooked.com. I think they sell it as a 1/4 inch. It's not quite a quarter. It's really, I don't know. I mean, I can't even think about that. I'm doing something hard. I can't do random math. I like them because they give a little pop. Now, the foam tape I use normally on everything else is 1 millimeter tall, and this is slightly, has a little more heft than that. That could work. Oh, I don't know. Well, there's orange right there. Maybe it could go right there. Oh, I like that. And I might have to come down because I have this that I want to put up there with me and him. Putting the little foam tape behind it just lets it stand up a little bit, and I don't think it adds too much dimension. I am very mindful anymore of a lot of dimension on my pages because I have a wall of albums, and it's getting treacherous, as far as finding space. To be honest, I have a stack of layouts that I need to sort and put away, and anytime I have to get into my albums, it's I'm like, oh, tomorrow, and then of course tomorrow never comes. But I am considering filming myself sorting out my big stack of albums to put into, my big stack of layouts to put into albums. And I like that. And then if I could find something to go right there. Well, I have this phone and this ball. I made a decision on the journaling, and I know we're all relieved. I opened up Pages. I work on a Mac, and I created a text box that was 2 1/4 by 6, and I had to use a 5 by 7 document. And what I do is I cut a piece of paper that would be like the size of a photo, so either 4x6 or 5x7, and then I set my printer settings to black and white and then to print on plain paper. And I'm very happy with how it looks. I had to go down to like a 9-point font, but I can read it, and I think it's just right. So the thing I like about putting it here and why I decided to go ahead and do that is that it balances out the weight of everything in this corner and everything I've got going on down here. So to me, it also helps calm the color, the red against the yellow over here, and I think that was important. I did a little embellishment cluster down here. I moved that orange sticker over here, and I did the little paw prints, and I wanted the aqua color to repeat. So I've got it over here, and then I've got it here, and then I've got it here. And so what I'm going to do is tape this down, and I think I need something here to soften this edge, and I think I need something here to fill this space. So I'm thinking about 2 little offsetting hearts and maybe a paw print in the hearts. And then I need something up here. So we're getting close to done, which is wonderful. I have got my hearts cut, and I put this here to remind me to tell you that I've got one width of 1mm foam tape running here, and then this is flat, and it just gives you a little movement, a little bit of a shadow. I struggled with this color palette a lot, so I think that's one of the reasons why it's challenge accepted stash busting. But I think that the hearts I have are going to work for moving the color around the page. I mean, this is a lot of orange right here, but I've got orange up here, I've got orange here, and then I've got orange in my paper. So it seems like it needed to be orange, even though it seems very bright. And I couldn't put red on here, so that left me with aqua and yellow, and so I did that. I felt like 3 hearts was the right amount, and I'll pop these up on foam. I do have this little heart here just for a little bit of repetition, and that would give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe it comes off. I've got this little heart up here, and because the papers were limited, I ended up going back to the stripe. To be honest, my stripe doesn't show up here very much at all, and want to find a way to get some paw prints on here. And I have studied this, and I feel pretty good about it. I used the Echo Park stitched die set for the hearts this size, and then I used various Lawn Fawn hearts for the complementary or scaled down size of hearts. So let me put some foam tape behind all this. I think this is the point where in the South we would say, put a fork in me, I'm done. I brought in 2 paw prints up here to bring in the black and the little paw prints. I honestly didn't feel like I should put them anywhere else, because then I felt like it would be too many. I didn't have that many to begin with, and I just did a little repetition. And if you'll notice, like here and here and here and down here, I tried to soften the sharp corners by putting an element there to distract from the harsh lines. It's visible down here. I'm okay with that. I ended up with 7 hearts, 3, 3, and 1. And I added this remember tag up here, just kind of as a way to move your eyes on around the page, and also maybe to cover up a little bit more of that yellow. I don't know that orange is any better, but the point is I made it. It's done. I did a hard thing by piecing together little bits of paper. This little element here I made, there was a sticker off of an Echo Park sticker sheet that said good puppy or something. And I tested it there and I didn't like how it looked, but I thought, well, something there would be good. And so I found this paper. I was looking for anything that had a white dog. And so you can see here is where I pulled it from, right up here. And I just cut a little circle with a die, and then I made a fishtail ribbon coming out of it, out of the same orange. And so yeah, I think that's it. I want to say, if you watch this whole thing, I feel like when I watch the playback, I'm going to cringe a lot. But it was hard for me to do this, and it was hard to cobble together all of these papers. So thanks for sticking with me to the end. I'm not going to try and read the journaling. I think that would be foolish. So there you go. I want to thank you for hanging out with me today at Scrap with Penny, and we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing. I'll be back soon with more layouts, videos, and a little stash busted magic. So please come back and crop with me. Until next time, happy scrapping, and remember, this is where paper meets story. Bye-bye.